the way it goes. Just the way it goes. Degrees.
Sadistic Penguin Studios presents Yumper and Svo at the Show podcast with Tom Yumper Garcia.
Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
And Justin Svo Svoboda.
What, so I gotta sit here and eat dessert alone like I'm fucking Steven Glansberg?
It's almost time, so grab a drink. Get your popcorn ready and get comfortable to hear two guys from Chicago talking movies.
Welcome, everyone, to a live edition of Yumper and Svo at the Show, presented to you by Sadistic Penguin Studios. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tom Garcia, aka Yumper, and then my other co-host, Justin Svo Svoboda. How you doing, Mr. Svoboda?
Yumper, I am good. I had a fantastic Sunday so far. I hung out with my cousin Mark, the one that shows me all these movies. We went to go get some food. It's been a Sunday. How about you?
Very, very productive Sunday. I ran a lot of errands today before I did our usual show prep to get the show on the road, but I got a lot done today, so I'm very happy about that.
That's good, man. That's good. So I want to address a comment in the sections already, and I got to call out my homie Brian. I love my fucking Steven Glansberg intro. I love this movie. We're going to talk about it tonight, but the Jonah Hill comments are disgusting, and fuck him.
Yes, for sure. Like I said, when we discuss James Woods, we're discussing just his acting credentials, not the fact that he's a piece of shit human being. And Jonah Hill's very, very strange as well.
He's a strange cat. You're not wrong.
But yeah, that's all I'll say about that for tonight. But we got a action-packed show for you today. This is actually our season finale for season 2. We're gonna take a little hiatus while Swole explores the baseball stadiums of America. But we're gonna take a little hiatus and come back in about 3 weeks. So we're just gonna call this our season finale, and we are ending with a good one as well.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna talk about our favorite R-rated comedies. So these movies we've all watched 100 times, and we can quote them backwards and forwards. But if you are watching with kids, these movies probably aren't appropriate for kids. So
definitely not.
The meat and potatoes is going to be good tonight.
Yes, sir. But let's get into our usual segment of what we've been watching. Swole, start us off.
So I finished the show on HBO, The Idol, with The Weeknd and Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Depp Rose. And it is a fucking ass cheeks. It is the worst thing that I've ever seen HBO put out. It is torture porn. That's all it is. It's him sexualizing Lily Depp Rose. It is a terrible, terrible show. It is not entertaining. The first episode made me think, hey, this has got some potential. And then it was all downhill from there, like Newfound Glory, just all downhill from there. It was awful. And then before my wife is already in Seattle. And before she left, we went to go see Joyride. Seth Rogen and Evan Marshall helped write this and produce this. And there were some other producers on there. And this movie is funny. This movie is right up there with the classic R-rated comedies. It's raunchy. It's stupid. It's touching. It's good. I know I said touching. That means Sam Reeves is going to be in the comments. But I highly recommend Joyride. Go see Joyride. Yeah, that's what I've been watching. How about you, Yump?
Well, in terms of the Idol, I kind of was thinking this when you were saying it was ass cheeks.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.
Yeah, that I had no interest in watching that movie. Joyride, I have not actually heard about until right now when you mentioned it. So I will definitely check it out. So this week I was exploring a new show to watch. I watched the show Suits 4 times through. I'm becoming like really addicted to that show. I really like the way it's laid out and whatnot. But
have you done the whole? You've watched the whole show now? Like
yeah,
the
I watched
series.
the whole show.
Okay,
4 times, 4 times. So it's just 9 seasons too. It's just like so. It's a quick episodes. But I started looking to something new. Started looking at The Punisher. I was seeing a lot of clips on it on the internet. And that's how I get interested in certain things. Looked it up with John Berthal. It's actually very good. Season 1 is very, very good. It's very gory, and it like reminds me of when I would read the Punisher comics as a kid, or even when I was in my teens, like how gory it is in there. He's a very, very big anti-hero, which he's supposed to be, and I think this is how the Punisher should have been done. I know you hate the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, and we hate the John Travolta movie.
Well, yeah, no, I love the Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
And before we dive more into the Punisher, let me talk about John Bernthal.
Mm.
John Bernthal is also in a TV show that's on FX, Hulu, whatever, right now called The Bear with Jeremy Allen White from Shameless. And he is absolutely fantastic and brilliant in The Bear. If you have not watched The Bear, like you need to go watch it because it is the best show on TV right now or streaming. They are 35, 40-minute episodes. You will plow through them and you will cry. I promise you will cry. It is that good. It paints Chicago in a glorious light, but John Bernthal is fantastic in it.
I haven't gotten to The Bear. I keep hearing good things about it. I'm kind of standoffish, but I'll see.
I feel like that's a show that you and your wife could binge together and you both would like it. I know the reason behind. We're not going to get into it. But I'm telling you, you would like it. Baloney will vouch for it too.
Yeah, I'll check it out. But The Punisher, if you guys haven't seen it, it's actually on Disney Plus, and it's kind of crazy. It's on Disney Plus because it's like I said, it's very gory. It has like a lot of swearing, and it has like
they didn't edit it or cut it down for Disney Plus, did they?
No, they did not. The only thing I think they edited was one of the characters is based off the Mennonite, which is he's basically a pilgrim. And he's a former Nazi. I think they blurred out like his tattoos, but that's the only thing I think they edited. Like everything else, like some of the kills in there are like legit gory. Like Jen was watching with me, and she's like, "Holy shit!" Like,
so now that you binged the Punisher, are you gonna go do like Daredevil and
yeah? So
the other Netflix Marvel shows?
So I've seen Daredevil before. I might go back and do it because the new season. There's supposedly going to be a new season coming out soon. That we can talk about later on in News and Rumors. But it's something that like I want to get back into. But I'm also gonna transition more to Star Wars stuff because Ahsoka's coming out.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get that stuff done before that comes out. But on topics of talking about movies, me and our guy Magnificent Stan have been discussing back to school a lot. We text each other. We text each other back to school quotes or talk about it constantly. And we had disagreement over the movie. He says it's a bad movie. I say it's a great movie. He says it's a bad movie you like. I'm like, no, it's a good movie. And we had some comments about how Roger Ebert loved the movie, and Magnificent Stan said some things I will not repeat here that were very hilarious. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
But yeah, Back to School. I love that movie. Robert Downey Jr.'s in it. Rodney Dangerfield at his best. Sam Kinnison's first movie role. You know, completely him just being a complete like Rodney one-liners.
Isn't Johnny Lawrence in this movie too?
Yes, he's Chaz. Chaz, yes. And the best part is like their big competition is diving. Of all things, they're like diving. But the triple Lindy, man. But this also can play into Brian's drafty that's coming up on a Tuesday, I believe.
It is Tuesday. It's 8:00 on the Sadistic Penguin YouTube channel right here. I will be on it with him on Tuesday.
Yes. So it's going to be a big one. You and Shankster, I believe.
Yes, Shankster. I hate that guy. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I love him.
So that's what we've been watching this week. Let us know what you've been watching at Yumper and Svo on Twitter. If it still works, I don't know if Twitter is still going on. You can tweet me at Lil Yumper or find me on Threads, it's the same handle. I don't know. Are you on Threads, Svo?
I haven't done Threads because it's basically just having a Facebook account. So I haven't done it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm waiting for a Blue Sky invite.
Yeah, everybody's waiting on that. It hasn't. I don't think anybody's got it yet. But yeah. So hit us up there if it's still active, or you could just hit us up at the website sadisticpenguins.studios.com.
Absolutely.
But with that, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this and go into our first movie.
Sounds good, buddy.
Stupid fucking game.
Oh, nigga, that's Janet Jackson. Oh, Janet Jackson, the girl Debbie hooked me up with. Oh, hey, hold up, I'll be right back.
Hey, see if she got a friend.
Ooh, what's that? Not a damn thing.
1995's Friday, directed by F. Gray, who also directed Set It Off, The Italian Job, The Negotiator, Straight Outta Compton, Law Abiding Citizen, and the worst fucking Men in Black movie, Men in Black International, I've seen. Just some of the movies he's directed. This movie stars Ice Cube, Chris Tucker, Tiny Lister, John Witherspoon, and Nia Long. It had a box office of $28 million and a budget of $3.5 million. Tell me about this movie, Swole. This is one of your picks.
This is one of my picks. This movie is something that I can go back to and watch, a million times. It's still funny. It still holds up. I think Chris Tucker is absolutely iconic in this movie. I still quote it today. I don't even smoke weed, but I think like the humor in this movie is hilarious. Ice Cube, he was Doughboy and Boys in the Hood, but this was his movie that made him like a movie star. And it's funny, it's quotable, and the soundtrack is fantastic. It takes place in 24 hours, and I love it. How do you feel about Friday, Yump?
So this is like one of my favorite movies growing up. Like we watched Friday constantly, me and my brother. My grandmother liked this movie. That's how much it's like she watched Friday with us. Like it's like my mom likes it. It's like one of our favorite movies, like that we watch all the time. It's funny you said like Boys in the Hood because Ice Cube's actually wearing the getup the first day as a tribute to it. And the reason him and DJ Pooh, who plays Red in this movie, wrote this was because they figured like, being in the hood's not all, gangs and shootings and all that. There could be fun days too. And that's why they put this movie together and they wrote the script. They never wrote in the script in their life until they did this. And, they knocked it out of the ballpark. This is Chris Tucker's coming out party. He was in House Party 3 before this. And then he did this. He did Dead Presidents. Then he went on to do Money Talks. Then, of course, Rush Hour, where he blew up big time. But like this is his coming out party. We knew him from Def Jam. It's just, the cast is perfectly cast. John Witherspoon is hilarious as the father.
Tiny Juice Lister.
Yeah, Tiny Lister's in there. He's hilarious. Bernie Mac, his small scene is hilarious as a reverend.
My God.
It's continuously gold. Faison Love as Big Worm or Big Perm. It's hilarious. It's just so many one-liners that are great. How the hell you get fired on your day off?
Yeah.
And then there's cut scenes that I was just reading about. Like I guess they had a director's cut in the beginning of the movie.
In the chicken coop.
That part and there's part in the beginning when they're showing like how they're sleeping. In the beginning of the movie, there's actually Ezel running down the street with boxes.
Like because they were the boxes Craig was stealing.
Yeah, and Ezel too. And
stealing. Ezel was hilarious too.
Yeah, just great, comedians. And like look into how many people passed away from this movie. Ezel passed, John Witherspoon passed, Tiny Lister passed, like Bernie Mac's gone. Like it's just crazy. He had such like comedic gold throughout this movie that it's iconic. It like Brian put it in the chat. By Alicia. By Felicia.
Yeah, By Felicia, which F. Gary Gray used in the Straight Outta Compton movie when Ice Cube was like, when the girl's in the hotel room and her boyfriend came looking for her, they kicked her out of the hotel room. He pushed her. He's like, bye, Felicia. And when I was in the theater and that happened, the whole theater lost it. They lost it. There's also a scene where Ice Cube's at home in Straight Outta Compton and his wife comes into the room to check on him. And she's like, hey, how's the Friday script? So like the making or the writing of Friday is in Straight Outta Compton. I just think I think you said it perfectly, Yump. Like, you live in the hood and it's not all like, gangs and shooting. You got your good days, you got your neighborhood characters. And this movie like showcased that. And to me, this is an iconic R-rated comedy.
Yeah, for sure. Like you hit out of the ballpark, starting yourself with number one. And Brian, I do love The Fifth Element. That's actually my favorite movie to watch when I'm sick.
He does love that movie.
But funny thing about this movie too, just a couple little tidbits before we close it up. Chris Rock and Tommy Davidson were considered for the role of Smokey. I love Tommy Davidson. I like Chris Rock's comedy. I don't think they could have, fulfilled the role of Chris Tucker in here. I think Chris Tucker just performs it to a perfection. And when Smokey actually tells him, "What's up, Big Worm?" that's actually a blooper, but they left it in because it was funny. So just like he ad-libbed everything. Chris Tucker ad-libbed everything in this movie, which I thought was hilarious. And his character is actually based off DJ Pooh, which is Red, which is funny.
Yeah, I love it. Like, Pop's tripping about my bike, man. And then there's the scene where the underwear falls on Debo's water cup at night, and he takes a drink, and he sniffs it, and he's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Buzz, Detroit Rock City. That's a fantastic call out. I love Detroit Rock City.
Definitely. That's another great movie.
Yeah, good call out.
But just even when Red runs away after he gets hit, he gets his chain stolen.
The way he runs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great movie. We could harp on this for ever, but Friday is such a good. If you haven't seen Friday, please check it out.
It's got leave the rock you're under and go see it.
Yes, big cult following. But yeah, check this one out. But let's move on to our next one.
And you are Gina?
Gina. Hey, what's up?
Nothing.
Look, I'm going to be real honest with you. It's been a long time since I've been with a man. Spent a lot of time with the ladies. Looking to get back up on that pogo stick. You know what I'm saying?
Excuse me?
The 40-Year-Old Virgin, released in 2005, directed by Judd Apatow, who directed Knocked Up, This Is 40, and Funny People for a few films. Written by him and Steve Carell. It stars Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, Catherine Kenner, Seth Rogen, Jane Lynch, and Romney Malco. This movie is one of my picks. It's one of the first things I got introduced to Judd Apatow. This is the movie I think that made the Judd Apatow universe. Even though this movie doesn't branch out to that, but this is one of the first movies we saw Paul Rudd being comedic. We saw Seth Rogen start coming in. This is the Apatow start of his run of comedic gold, and I love this movie. I think it has so many good one-liners. Another thing I realized rewatching this movie could not be made today.
No way in
at
hell.
All.
The scene where they're playing video games and they're like, you know how I know? There's no way in hell that gets made today.
Yeah, and that was completely ad-libbed by the two actors, which I thought was pretty crazy. But no way in hell this could be made today. But it was hilarious when we first saw it. I saw it in college, at the theater. It was just, you couldn't stop laughing, especially the part where he goes to get the waxing.
Oh my God.
And that was really him getting waxed. So it's pretty crazy that Steve Carell went through that much trouble to make comedic gold. And he was completely nervous about making this. He thought it was going to bomb.
I just think this movie is still even though that some of the stuff you can't say or it couldn't be made today, there's still stuff that I quote all the time. I was out today with my cousin and we were talking about someone and he just got this new girlfriend and he just hangs out with her. I'm like, he put the pussy on a pedestal. And it's just still so quotable.
Yeah.
And as I sit here and I look at my wall of Funko Pops and my Batman toys, it's also relatable. No, don't touch that one. It's worth more if it's not if it's in the box, right?
Yeah. Aquaman.
Yeah.
Stay strong. But it just shows he's a nerd. But I like the way Carell came out and said he lost a lot of weight for this role and he got in shape, and Apatow was kind of hesitant about doing because he wanted to be a nerdy guy. But then Carell told him he is a nerd. We want him to be nothing done wrong with him physically. It's mostly mentally. He's nervous. So he thought that played better into the role. I think he knocked it out of the ballpark.
He absolutely did.
This was his first role. It made $177 million, which was big box office numbers then for a $26 million budget.
Well, and an R-rated comedy, that's a massive amount of money.
Yeah, it was put them things away. Yeah, the movie's great. And it's kind of funny that Catherine Kenner is starting to this is her big thing in comedies. She appears in a couple other movies down the road, but she was I remember her from Back to the Future 3. That's where I remember. And then
as Doc Brown's girl, right?
Yeah, and now she's the hot, love interest in this movie, and then she's the hot mom in another.
She's the hot grandma. You're a hot grandma.
Yeah, and then she's in Elf too. She's the mom in Elf.
No, that's Mary Steenburgen.
Oh, Mary Steenburgen.
That's Mary Steenburgen. Yeah,
I get them mixed up. But yeah, this film also had the great comedic cast. Mindy Kaling's in it.
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks. You know,
I hope you got a big trunk because I'm gonna put my bike in it.
Yeah. Jane Lynch is hilarious
She is
as the boss.
the poker game, like the poker game in the Circuit City, like after hours.
Yeah.
Like, Andy, have you ever felt a real tit? Yeah, it felt like a bag of sand.
That's what Toei does for it. One of my favorite parts is when he's arguing with the Middle Eastern guy, and he goes, "I'll fuck you up." He's like, "I will take the blade from my boot, and I cannot put it back
Until blood has been shed."
Until it tasted the blood. That part is hilarious. And then the other, like, "Are you still gonna cover my shift on Friday?" "Yeah, I got you."
And he's like, "If I could keep half this commission."
Yeah. But the crazy part is the guy who, his other friend, the other Middle Eastern guy who says, "I know you guys are hugging so softly." That guy actually killed somebody. Like, he killed his girlfriend. He's doing life in prison.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I read that today. I'm like, that's crazy.
The guy that couldn't put his blade away until blood has been shed was
No.
Also the boss in Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You were playing the baseball?" He's like, "Can I have Black Friday off?" He's like, "Oh, you asked me because I'm the black man?"
Yeah, that movie. This movie is great. Of course,
really is.
Jonah Hill's in it. The dance scene at the end of the Age of Aquarius, like that movie. It's such a classic movie.
It really is. The speed dating scene from the sound clip you played.
Yeah, it's just he talks about Amy. I love Amy. We used to watch Harry Porker.
It's like we shared one heartbeat.
Yeah, then he gets like really drunk and it's like, "Hey, Amy, you remember this?
Remember this ass?"
Yeah, when he's drunk at the selling the TV, he's like, "If you play Michael Bolton one more time, I will fucking kill myself."
If I have to hear Yamo be there one more time, I'm gonna Yamo kill myself.
Yeah, this movie there's so many quotable things to say, but like I said, it's not a movie that cannot be made today, and it was only made 18 years ago. So
that's crazy. It's iconic though.
Yeah, definitely iconic. But let's move on to our next one, my friend.
It's like at the end of the day, I'm choosing between Lila and all the other women in the world.
You've barely nailed any of the other women in the world. You haven't crushed more than 3 pussies since you broke off with Jody.
Dad, what is this obsession with pussy crushing counting? I'm not comfortable with that term.
Sorry. Snatch. Whatever.
The Heartbreak Kid, released in 2007, directed by Peter and Bobby Farrelly, who also directed There Is Something About Mary, Kingpin, Dumb and Dumber, Me, Myself, and Irene, Fever Pitch, Osmosis Jones, Shallow Hal, and Stuck on You. The movie stars Ben Stiller, Michelle Monaghan, Jerry Stiller, Malin Ackerman, and Carlos Mencia. The movie had a budget of $30 million and a box office of $128 million. So, well, tell me about The Heartbreak Kid.
So I could have, honestly, I could have went down the list and just did Judd Apatow movie, but I wanted to go for my list, like some stuff that was a little bit underrated. And I don't think this movie did very well at the box office, but it's pretty fucking funny. Ben Stiller meets this girl, Malin Ackerman, and he's like, he doesn't want her to move away when they fall in love. So he just marries her like 2 weeks later. And he realized she's annoying as shit. He can't stand her. And he meets this other girl while they're on their honeymoon and he falls for her. And he tries to keep things separate. Carlos Mencia is really funny in it. Screw off. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Jerry Stiller is fucking hilarious. R.I.P. There's a scene where Jerry calls Ben on his honeymoon and he's in a hot tub in Vegas with this older lady. And this older lady's cans are massive and they just float to the top. And she's like, "Hey, hon, I'm hanging out with your dad." And it was just,
she meant about the Kino table.
Yeah. It's just a funny, underrated, R-rated comedy that I really, really like.
So when I first saw this movie, I didn't like it at first. I know it's a remake of like the 70s version. I think 72.
Yeah.
But I rewatched it again because I think at the time, since it's made by the same people that directed Something About Mary, I thought they were trying to go by something about Mary, and I just took that context out and rewatched it. And Jerry Stiller's dad, Ben Stiller's dad, Jerry Stiller, is just the highlight of this movie. He's hilarious. Like, he does not get enough recognition for how funny he is. Like Seinfeld, he was great. Kings of Queens, he was great.
Arthur in Kings of Queens is one of the most underrated TV characters of all time.
No, by far. He is extremely funny. And This movie didn't make money, so it made 128 million off a $30 million budget.
Oh, okay.
I thought the story was like the story. I can understand the story, but when I got to towards the end, I'm like, what the hell is like? It was so random.
Like he's homeless trying to cross the border because he loses his passport.
Yeah,
Like kind of racist,
definitely.
right? A little bit racist. Couldn't get made today, but up until that point, the movie is like it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it had a lot of good one-liners in it, and most of them were by Jerry Stiller, which is, crushing the pea.
Well, and Rob Corddry is in it too.
Yes, he's very good as well.
There's a scene where like they're at a wedding of Ben Stiller's ex-girlfriend, and she's like, hey, I had to kiss a few frogs to meet my prince. And Rob Corddry looks up and looks at Ben Stiller. He goes, "Ha!" and he points at him like Nelson Muntz.
Yeah, it has like little like comedic times. It's definitely underrated. I would recommend it, if you haven't seen it, and give it a watch. Like I said, I didn't like it at first, and I rewatched it, and I grown to like it. It's a really good pick. And yes, Brian, King of Queens is definitely underrated.
I loved it.
But let's move on to my next one, my friend.
Actually, I just sat down. I'm just getting started. It's delicious, though. Thank you.
I'll just go fuck myself.
Sorry, what?
Bahala.
2008's Forgetting Sarah Marshall, directed by Nicholas Stoller, who also directed Get Them to the Greek, The 5-Year Engagement, and Neighbors. This movie stars Kristen Bell, Jason Segel, Paul Rudd, Mila Kunis, Bill Hader, and Russell Brand. It had a budget of $30 million and made a box office of $105 million. So this is one of my picks. So this is when I was thinking about the Judd Apatow universe, looking at the movies, this is the one that always comes to me besides The 40-Year-Old Virgin. And when The 40-Year-Old Virgin was made, when doing research, Apatow wanted Jason Segel to be in there as a character named Jason, but Paramount did not want him in there. They didn't know who he was. So he told him, why don't you write your own script about, your relationships or whatever, and see what happens. He wrote this role from his past breakups, one of them being with Linda Cardellini, just from past experience. So him being naked and getting broken up with really did happen. It wasn't with her, but it was with somebody else. So a lot of his real life is thrown into this movie, and it's just hilarious. It's so random. The Dracula musical, which I'm a big fan of, that part it's a big part of the show. Alda Snow, Russell Brand breaks out here with Alda Snow. He is hilarious. The religious couple that goes on their honeymoon. If God wanted you to play with what does he say? If God wanted you to play in a playground, he wouldn't have put a sewer there. That guy is hilarious. He's from 30 Rock. I can't think of his name. This movie has Bill Hader and his wife is great. This movie he plays the awkward brother-in-law. This movie is just, to me, it's what got me really into the Apatow universe going forward. What do you think about it, Swell?
Well, Yump, you know that this is the movie that I put on when I'm sick or under the weather. This movie always makes me feel better. I quote it every day. People at work, they hate when they tell me no on something. Like, hey man, can you bring me up an iPhone? And they're like, no, I can't right now. And I just go, I'll just go fuck myself. Right? I quote it every day with everybody. You know that. I say it to you all the time. I'll just go fuck myself. Jonah Hill's character is hilarious in this movie. He's an obsessed music fan that loves Infant Sorrow and All This Snow. And he sneaks him his demo tape, and he brings him a cake. I just think this movie is so perfect, and it makes me want to go to Hawaii. Mila Kunis is fantastic, and she's just a smoke show in this movie. The Dracula puppet show is hilarious. I can't say good enough things about this movie. I love anything Judd Apatow because I am an OG fan of Freaks and Geeks. Freaks and Geeks is top 5 favorite TV shows of all time. Spoiler alert for something maybe coming up. Freaks and Geeks, the whole cast is in this is in every Apatow movie. Judd Apatow did 2 TV shows before he did these movies. He did Freaks and Geeks, and then he did a show called Undeclared with who's the kid in Undeclared? He was also in Goon. Why am I having a brain fart?
Sean William Scott?
Not Sean William Scott. He was in This Is the End. I'm having a brain fart.
Jay
Baruchel. Jay Baruchel. Yeah, who, by the way, hates Jonah Hill in real life. That beef and This Is the End
It's real.
versus Jonah Hill is real. He hates Jonah Hill in real life.
Maybe he read one of his texts.
Maybe they shared a therapist. Oh my god. I like anything with any of the Apatow universe in it. Linda Cardinelli, Jay Baruchel, Charlie Hunnam before Sons of Anarchy was in Undeclared.
Yeah. That it's I love the fact you bring that up because that's why I said Apatow wanted sequel to be in 40-Year-Old Virgin. They wouldn't let him be in it, so he made this. And just the fact he wrote it from personal experiences cracked me up. And the fact that going forward, Jason Segel was actually in the Muppets movie. So it makes sense with the Dracula musical. You go back to that. I love the inside the like the fourth wall of the TV show within the movie.
Yeah.
That Kristen
crime
Bell's
scene of the crime.
Yeah, scene of the crime with what's his name? William Baldwin. When he just has horrible one-liners, talk about a stiff. Yeah. And then he plays the ominous music in the background. But it's definitely a classic. Another movie that can't be made today. Definitely can't be made today.
Not at all.
Fun fact: the producers of the Muppets all draft. Yeah, you're totally right, Sam. That's why it's funny that they had the Dracula musical and then eventually branched out to him being in the Muppet Show.
There's a line in Forgetting Sarah Marshall where he's like, Sarah Marshall's my ex-girlfriend. He's like, I know, you've told everybody. It's like The Sopranos. It's over. Get over it.
Yeah, and he's like, are those happy tissues or sad tissues?
Or happy tissues? He's like, I think I'm gonna need a minute.
It's like, stop crying. He's like, well, you look like a big baby. Yeah, this movie is great.
It's perfect.
If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Like, these movies, they've been out for a while, but like they're so good. Like, you can watch them. This will definitely crack you up just from like the hilarity of the scenes.
Yeah.
The part where he gets broken up naked is so ridiculous. I remember
he's like, I've got something for you.
Yeah. The part where she's talking about when he wouldn't change his clothes for months, and there's a part where he has a fucking staff watching Lord of the Rings screaming,
"Thou shalt not pass." And he's like, "Oh, because they're Costco sweatpants, it's a big deal. But if they were Sean John, it would be okay."
Yeah, definitely a classic. I love this movie. It was really hard to pick my list, and this is why I went with this one to be one of my favorites. But you ready to move on to the next one, my friend?
Yeah, let's do it.
Did that shit.
Fuck you, Ronnie.
Fuck you.
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 Fuck you, Ronnie.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Ronnie.
Fuck you, Saddam Hussein of Iraq.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
2009's Observe and Report, written and directed by Jody Hill, who did Eastbound and Down, The Roadie, The Foot First Way, and The Righteous Gemstones. He actually directed 11 episodes of that. This stars Seth Rogen, Anna Faris, Ray Liotta, and Michael Pena. This movie had a box office of $24 million on an $18 million budget. Swole, this is another one of your picks. Tell me about Observe and Report.
This movie is so fucked up. This movie is jacked up. It is an R-rated comedy, but it is a dark comedy because it goes places that you are not expecting. I think the person that steals this movie is Michael Pena. Michael Pena is hilarious. He plays this dude with a jerry curl and a lisp, and he's one of his security guards. You can see it on the movie poster if you're watching the video or the YouTube of this. Dennis. He's fucking hilarious in this movie. He steals this movie. The other character that I think is hilarious in this movie is the great Ray Liotta.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he plays the cop that's investigating the robberies in the mall and the flasher in the mall. And he just butts head with Seth Rogen, who plays a bipolar, manic depressive security guard that wants to be a cop. And he can't be a cop because of his mental issues. You're right. I got to watch what I say here. But this is a dark, dark comedy, and it is fantastic and slept on. Anna Faris is really, really funny in it. What's his name is in it too? Patton Oswalt is in this movie. It's really, really good. This is one of my sleeper, underrated R-rated comedies.
Yeah, so this movie is another underrated one that hasn't really gotten a lot of traction in it. But the Michael Pena character in here reminds me a lot of what he basically transitions to in the Ant-Man movies.
Yes.
As his buddy. Like, it just shows his comedic timing. Like, you see it, so it started in here. A great character. Seth Rogen, I think, is hilarious. Seth Rogen actually said he was too fat for this movie. He was having a lot of trouble breathing, so he actually, convinced him to lose weight because he was in New Mexico and the air is thinner there. So he was saying that this movie convinced him to lose weight, which without this movie, you wouldn't have a skinnier Seth Rogen, which I thought was pretty funny. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is when they get pissed off and they just go and beat the shit out of the
skateboarder.
Yeah, the skateboard kids are just going around. They play this music. They're just punching them in the face. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
There's a scene where Ray Liotta and Seth Rogen are in the office and they're talking about whatever. And Seth Rogen goes, I know who did it. And he goes, who? He goes, let me show you. And he brings him over to Aziz Ansari.
Yeah.
Aziz Ansari's rubbing lotion on this girl. And he's like, you want some bubbles for the bubble bath? And he goes, this guy, I got a fucking restraining order against this guy. And he's like, what do you have a restraining order? He's like, he told me I threatened to blow up the Chick-fil-A. And Aziz Ansari fucking dead face goes, why would I blow up the Chick-fil-A? It's fucking delicious, right? And it's just fucking, it's the one line, the timing is fantastic. And then, like, when did this come out? 2009?
Yep.
Like, it ends really, really dark.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to spoil it because I think it's a slept-on movie, but it ends really, really dark. So you should watch this if you get a chance.
Yeah, and I think you said Ray Liotta did a great job as Detective Harrison. That role is actually set up for Danny McBride, which makes a lot of sense because Jody Hill wrote a lot and directed a lot of Eastbound Down, which is another great series if you haven't seen that. But he couldn't do it. Like, they kept pushing off his time. So he only had like a part as a crackhead in this movie.
I got a little fucked up last night and started watching Eastbound and Down, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's a great show.
It's so good.
We might talk about that soon. But and there's another thing too. This movie came out at the same time as Paul Blart. In my opinion, Paul Blart got a lot of publicity, and it's an okay movie. I think Observer Report's actually a better movie than Paul Blart.
Oh, way better.
But like Swole said, Observer Report's a little bit more darker than Paul Blart. But if you haven't seen any of them, like, definitely check out this one. This is a underrated classic of Rogen. And if you haven't noticed, we already went through how many? 3 Seth Rogen movies?
3 Seth Rogen movies, and I think there's still maybe a couple more to come.
Yeah, a couple more to come. I think he's becoming the king of the art comedy. At least
he knows how to write for people our age and speak to us, and it's just like he just writes good, funny movies. He's got a new show on Apple TV Plus called Platonic with Rose Byrne, and it's pretty funny too.
Yeah, I have to check that out. There's so much stuff I just gotta check out.
Richard Roper said it. We can't digest every piece of content.
Definitely. But let's get into our next one.
Listen to me, Dale. Look, when I was a kid, when I was a little boy, I always wanted to be a dinosaur. I wanted to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex more than anything in the world. I made my arms short, and I roamed the backyard, and I chased the neighborhood cats, and I growled, and I roared. Everybody knew me and was afraid of me. And then one day my dad said, Bobby, you're 17. It's time to throw childish things aside. And I said, okay, Pop. But he didn't really say that. He said, stop being a fucking dinosaur and get a job.
2008 Step Brothers, directed by Adam McKay, who also directed Vice, The Big Short, The Other Guys, Talladega Nights, The Battle of Ricky Bobby, and Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. This is one of my picks. This movie has been quoted by everyone I know. John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, like, their chemistry in this movie is just perfect. I know certain people don't like it, but to me, it's hilarious. Like, they're both 40-year-old losers that live with their parents, one with his mom, one with his dad. They eventually get married, and they're eventually pushed off to basically do their own thing in their real as adults. But I mean, Boats and Hoes, Prestige Worldwide. How many times has that been quoted out? Did you touch my drum set? I'm burying you alive. Just sit there.
I got a belly full of white dog crap, and now you're gonna lay this shit on me?
Yeah. Why are you all sweaty? Oh, I was watching Cops.
Like, and then they're watching the fucking Steven Seagal movie together on the couch. They're watching, what is it, Marked for Death?
No, Above the Law.
It was Above the Law.
Yeah, he breaks his arm. He's like, yeah. Oh, we put some white out on a bee. It died. Adam Scott, like, is such an underrated character in here too. As
when they sing Guns N' Roses in the car, I was fucking dying.
He won for singing Vanilla Ice at
the talent show.
Derek, when he comes, he pulls up his Shelton's abs, and every time they see him like walking, Ice Ice Baby comes out. Fucking Catalina wine mixer is another thing that came out of this. Like, there's so many quotable things that like people still talk about. Like,
That
it's like,
you-
Catalina wine, he'll eat your dick like Kobayashi.
Someone's gonna clip that.
Yeah, but it's hilarious. Like, the movie itself is just great. Like, so much great chemistry, and it kind of like pains me that, Adam McKay wrote this with Will Ferrell. Him and Will Ferrell were very, very good friends. They became good friends with John C. Reilly, and he's also known for writing Winning Time. And
The Story of the Lakers, yeah.
yes, Will Ferrell really wanted to be Jerry Buss, but Adam McKay felt John C. Reilly was just better suited, which he is. He's winning multiple awards now, nominated for awards. And Will Ferrell got mad and basically ended their friendship and cut off their business ventures, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and it's another.
You know what's crazy? Like, I love this movie. I love this movie. It's not my favorite John C. Reilly movie on this list.
I know which one this is going to be. It's the one's coming up soon.
Yeah, like I love this movie's iconic. It's perfect. It's hilarious. But it just goes to show you how fucking good John C. Reilly is in almost everything he does.
Yeah, and this is Mary Steenburgen's plays his mom in Elf, and then his mom here, which is
Right.
hilarious. I think it's hilarious.
And then she fucked Johnny Depp in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is a house of doctors.
You're not a doctor.
You curly-headed fuck.
We just think your mom is hot. We want to bang her.
It's so bad. Another movie that cannot be made today, but
No.
it's like it's iconic. Just with a different comedy.
Get out. Get out of here, Dewey. You don't want no part of this.
But yeah, this is it's and John C. Reilly again got big after this. He was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Step Brothers. He went to do Walk Hard. Another underrated actor from Chicago.
I love John C. Reilly, man.
But yeah, totally a great classic. If you haven't seen this one, I don't know where you've been, because this movie's quoted a lot out there.
Brian, are we going to talk about Walk Hard? I don't know. No, we're
Maybe
not.
not.
It's a different John C. Reilly movie.
Definitely is. But let's get into our next one, Sol.
Oh my God. Mortimer, your brother's not well. We better call an ambulance. Fuck him!
That's like one of my favorite quotes for this movie. 1983's Trading Places, directed by John Landis, who directed The Blues Brothers, Schlock, Coming to America, Animal House, Three Amigos, and American Werewolf in London, as well as The Twilight Zone, which had unfortunate circumstances surrounding it. This movie stars Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis, Ralph Bellamy, and Don Amici. Swole, tell me about Trading Places.
So I know Brian wanted this, and this movie is not on the list because Brian wanted it. I love Brian. But this is a movie that my wife and I watch every Thanksgiving. It's a holiday movie. It's funny. It's charming. It's got a great cast. John Landis really knew what buttons to push with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. I think this is an iconic movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie. This is probably like my favorite Eddie Murphy movie of all time. I just think this is an iconic R-rated comedy.
This is not my favorite. This is my second favorite Eddie Murphy movie of all time. I think he did
The Golden Child. Is that your favorite one?
Actually, Golden Child's pretty funny.
Golden Child's not bad.
But I think this is his second movie he's done, if I believe, because I think he did 48 Hours before he did this one.
Another bunch of great movies. I just think it's more of an action movie. Otherwise, it could have been considered for it.
Yeah, but this one is it's great. It has Jamie Lee Curtis in her first role outside of horror movies. Like, she was in the Nightmare Train, she was in the Halloween series, of course, and they didn't want to cast her in this movie because they thought she was in horror movies. Landis had to fight for her, and I thought she played the role, great. This is kind of Dan Aykroyd stepping out of the Belushi era, even though our favorite Jim Belushi is
Jim's in it, yeah,
but
Monkey.
And and when he goes to jail, when he holds up the when he's taking his mugshot, the numbers on there are the same one Jake Blues has when he's in jail.
Yep.
And so he was playing tribute to John Belushi. But this is kind of him stepping out of the Belushi era and showing he's still a comedian. He, like, people don't talk about Aykroyd enough for his comedic timing and whatnot. He's a pretty funny guy outside of and a great writer outside of the Blues Brothers and whatnot, like Ghostbusters. He's pretty hilarious. Like, he's Tommy Boy. He's hilarious.
He's just like when he was at his peak, you couldn't touch him with his comedic writing.
Definitely. And the funny thing about this was it wasn't originally supposed to be Aykroyd and Murphy. This movie is actually written as a vehicle for Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. Richard Pryor dropped out. He couldn't do it. He had scheduling conflict. Gene Wilder was still attached, and the studio hired Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy came and said, you know, with all due respect to Mr. Wilder, I don't want to do the movie with him because I don't want to make it look like I'm copying Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
And he eventually dropped, and they brought in Dan Aykroyd. And I thought the chemistry between them two was great.
Driving Miss Daisy is pretty terrific. Another one that he's awesome in is My Girl, right? Like he's the dad in My Girl, and he's just really good. Like he's just a pretty good actor in general. I'm a big Dan Aykroyd fan.
Yeah, for sure. He's hilarious. In other roles besides Raymond Stantz.
Yeah.
But you know, this is like another movie that made Eddie Murphy really big. The funny part I found was when they're talking about trades and commodities, Eddie Murphy said he didn't know what the hell they were talking about. It was too confusing. He just read what was on script.
It's like the scene in Austin Powers when they're explaining time travel. He's like, "Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed."
Yeah, totally like that. But you know, Don Amici's hilarious in it, and the part where he says when his brother has a heart attack, and they're like, "Your brother, Walter Beer." He's like, "Fuck him,
fuck him." And then the bet is $1.
Yeah, and they're
Like-
such big dicks, you know, in this movie. Like,
Well, and
showing-
I love that they threw it back to them in another movie where they bring them in. I'm not going to say the movie.
Actually, it might be coming up next. But
Okay, then you want to go right into it?
yeah, let's just go right into the next.
Let's go right into it.
Hello. Hi. You know, I started on cleanup just like you guys. But now, see, I'm washing lettuce. Soon I'll be on fries, then the grill. A year or two, I make assistant manager. And that's where the big bucks start rolling in.
Just 2 years, huh?
1988's Coming to America, directed by John Landis, starring Eddie Murphy, Victoria Dillard, Arsenio Hall, John Amos, and Eric LaSalle. The movie has a budget of $30 million and a box office of $288 million. So this is one of my picks. This is my favorite Eddie Murphy movie of all time. This is one of the first Eddie Murphy movies I saw besides 48 Hours, and comedically, this is my favorite one with him because it's just so fucking hilarious. He plays so many roles in this movie. Randy Watkins. He plays the Jewish guy at the the barbershop, as well as the guy who cuts the hair.
Yep.
What kind of treatment you using, boy? You know, he's just great in this movie as somebody a foreigner from out of town who's just very, very gullible. One of my favorite parts of the movie, I didn't include it here because I had to pay tribute to Louis, but when he's like, "Hello, New York," and they're like, "Fuck you," and he's like, "Yes, fuck you too." Like that part's hilarious. You know, just the whole chemistry between him and Arsenio Hall is great. When they go looking for the wife in the clubs, is funny. Just like really, really good stuff. And I love the fact that James Earl Jones is in this with I forget what's her name. I can't think of her name, but she's actually James Earl Jones and the Queen in this movie are Queen Elle and Maggie Sinclair. They actually play the mother and father in The Lion King.
Yeah, they played Mufasa and
Sarami.
Sarami, yeah.
Maggie Sinclair. But you know, FF Gray's in this movie. Sidney Poitier was considered for this movie.
Samuel Jackson's in the movie.
Samuel Jackson's movie. John Amos, another Good
Man.
Times. He's hilarious as the McDowells. And that's the best part. They're stealing fucking McDonald's.
The Big Mick.
Yeah, and in terms of Louis Anderson, the reason he got that role was the studio wanted them to include white comedic actors. And when Eddie was considering them, he liked Louis Anderson's work, one, but also Louis Anderson told the story that he went out to dinner. He was making pretty good money writing for Benny Youngman as his joke writer and doing his own stand-up. And Eddie went to dinner, and he's told the restaurant, "Listen, here's my card. Put it on my card, whatever Eddie has. Don't tell him I did it, until after he's done." And he left. And Eddie Murphy called him a couple days later. It was actually him, and he said, "Nobody's ever done that for me. I'm always the one paying." And he's like, "Well, somebody should do it for you." He's like, "I have this movie coming out called Coming to America. We have a small role in it. Do you want it?" And that's how he got the role of the guy at McDonald's.
He killed it. Also, Louis Anderson had an animated show on in the 90s on
Life with
Fox,
Louis.
Life with Louis, and it was awesome.
Yes,
It was awesome.
My brother watched that a lot. Just the comedic stuff in here is so glow. Like
Eric
Paul-
LaSalle. Eric
Eric
LaSalle from
LaSalle.
ER is in it. Like, It's just a really great movie. It's kind of iconic. The sequel sucked ass. But whatever, we don't talk about it. It's almost like non-canon at this point.
Definitely. And the crazy thing is, when this movie was made, Landis had a horrible reputation. His past four movies bombed. Coming to this, this is after the Twilight Zone episode happened. And if you don't know about the Twilight Zone circumstances, an actor and two children were killed in one of the scenes. He actually got sued and was the first director in the history of cinema in the United States to be charged with manslaughter. He was found acquitted, but it used up a lot of his money. Nobody wanted to touch him. And Eddie Murphy actually went into bat for him to actually direct this movie. And the funny thing is, even though he did that, they fought a lot in the film, and they vowed to never work with each other again until Beverly Hills Cop 3. But, this close.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Go ahead.
So in every in every Landis movie, he has the quote "See you next Tuesday" in it.
Mm-hmm.
He took it from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Do you know where it's at in Coming to America? I'm asking honestly. I don't know where it's at.
No.
Yeah, like it's got to be somewhere. I'm gonna have to research it, but he has that saying on a poster in every movie he's ever made.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. If I looked harder, I would have to look.
I'll have to look it up because I don't remember where it's at in Coming to America.
But there's, like I said, F. Greg Gray's in this movie. He's in the Black Awareness program. That they have at the auditorium at Randy Watkins. And actually, who else did this? Well, a horror icon's actually in this movie. Can you tell me who it is?
A horror icon.
He's a very small role. Like you see him, he doesn't have no speaking words, but he's shown in the movie. And I'll say even in the same auditorium when they have Randy Watkins. He's right by Lisa.
Just because it's you, is it Bruce Campbell?
No, it's not Bruce Campbell. But Bruce Campbell's in something with Bruce Campbell's in another movie. Toby Hooper is actually right.
Oh, okay.
Is actually right.
You mean the director of Poltergeist?
Yes, director of Poltergeist. Is right next to Lisa. He just, for some reason, he's in this movie, which I thought was hilarious.
That's funny.
Paula Abdul actually choreographed the dancing in the beginning of the movie when they do the ceremonial dance, which was awesome. And it was done just to drum beats because they didn't have the score done.
Was she dating Arsenio Hall?
I don't know.
I feel like she may have been during. I don't know.
But Paula Abdul is known for her choreography. And
absolutely, she was a Laker girl.
Yeah. So she did a great job in this. It's just a lot of, this movie's iconic in terms of, quotes. You have the Royal Penis is Clean, which is picked up by Snoop Dogg for his song That's That.
Ludacris had the audio in his album Chicken and Beer.
Yeah, Chicken and Beer.
Yeah.
It's just iconic. It's picked up in regular use. And yes, they did make a sequel, like you said, that was very brutally bad.
Can I tell you a little, it's not a fun fact for anybody else but me, but my 75-year-old in-laws love this movie. Like my mother-in-law and my father-in-law love this movie.
It's awesome, man.
It's a fantastic movie.
She was the Laker girl. I love Paula Abdul.
She was the Laker girl. She absolutely was.
Opposites Attract is like one of my favorite music videos as a kid.
Arsenio played the cat.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
It's a great great music video. You get throwing me off, Brian. But
Brian's good at that.
Definitely Coming to America is like my favorite Eddie Murphy movie. And I know
easily.
It's easily gonna be in top 2.
Yeah.
But with that, Mr. Swobono, let's go into this mystery pick you had.
So I just did the whole check-in rigmarole, and I'm on my way to my room.
Have you seen the pool yet?
Yeah, it's incredible. There's like palm trees and stuff. The whole place smells like chlorine. It's like I'm in Barbados or somewhere.
Oh, here we are.
Casa Junior Suite. Hang on a second here. Figure out how this deal works. He's like a stinking credit card.
What is it, Jim?
There's an Afro-American man standing in my room.
What are you doing?
He's smiling at me.
2011 Cedar Rapids, directed by Miguel Arteta, who also directed Youth in Revolt, The Good Girl, and Duck Butter. This movie stars Egg Helms, John C. Reilly, Anne Heche, Stephen Root, Kurtwood Smith, and Isaiah Whitlock Jr. This movie had a budget of $10 million and a box office of $7 million. So, Swole, I have, to be honest with you, until you told me about this, I never heard of it.
So this movie is just a movie that I discovered like through a buddy. You know, it was released at Sundance, and the cast is really good. Ed Helms is the main character. John C. Reilly is probably my favorite role of John C. Reilly ever in this movie. Sigourney Weaver is like the older MILF, not the old MILF, but the older woman. She's a total MILF. He's this naive insurance salesman from small town in Iowa. Cedar Rapids is what he calls it, right? And they go to this insurance seminar, and it all takes place at this insurance seminar over the weekend. And it is truly an underrated gem. John C. Reilly plays this loud, abrasive, like just jerk. And then Isaiah Whitlock is in this movie, and we all know him from The Wire, right? Shit. And he drops that line in this movie. He's like, and he plays like the whitest black guy, and he's like, I've been known to enjoy the HBO series The Wire, and he's like, they're like, say the line, he's like, shit. John C. Reilly is a drunkard, like foul language. They're swimming, and he takes the garbage can, and he takes the helmet from the garbage can, and he goes, I'm Captain Nemo of the SS Muff Diver, while they're swimming.
This is my Siemens hat.
This is my Siemens hat.
Yeah, I never seen this movie. I watched it like and I thought it was hilarious. Like John C. Reilly steals the show. Like Ed Helms is very good at playing the like geeky weird character. He does it really well in The Hangover, but he does it to extreme in this movie.
He does.
And it really reminds. So this movie reminds me of a movie that I saw with my wife. What's her name? With the girl Renee Zellweger, and she's in Minnesota, and she goes to save like a basically like some kind of factory. But it's like the reason I say that I can't even think of the name of the movie right now. If she's in the chat, she'll remind me. But it's one of the it wasn't really well known, but it's pretty hilarious. Like, and that's why I think of this movie as like one that was like forgotten that is there. Like, and it's pretty good. Like it wasn't like it's not the greatest, but it has some funny things in it, and it shows Ed Helms range as an actor. And John C. Reilly just steals the show again. Like he's hilarious in this movie.
I just think this movie is severely underrated, and not a lot of people know about it. Like Ed Helms is this straight-laced character who doesn't do anything, and then before you know it, like at the end of the movie, he's smoking crack at a house party, right?
Yeah.
Like, and they got to go rescue him, and it's just like if you need to see this movie, it's really good.
It definitely is. The movie is called New in Town that I was talking about with Renee Zellweger, and it's about tapioca pudding. It's what he's trying to save. That movie's pretty funny too. It's got the guy from Whiplash,
J.K. Simmons,
who looks exactly like my father-in-law. They're splitting images of each other. But yeah, that definitely check out Cedar Rapids if you haven't seen it. Like I said, I never heard of it until Swole mentioned it to me. I saw it, I loved it. Check it out.
Awesome.
It's pretty funny.
That's vindication for me. That's always the goal.
But let's get into the main event, our big number 10 of the evening, Swole.
Wait, you changed your name to McLovin? McLovin? What kind of a stupid name is that, Fogel? What are you trying to be, an Irish R&B singer?
Oh, they let you pick any name you want when you get down there.
And you landed on McLovin.
Yeah, I was between that and Muhammad.
Why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad? Why don't you just pick a common name like a normal person?
Muhammad is the most commonly used name on earth. Read a fucking book for once.
Fogel, have you ever actually met anyone named Muhammad?
Have you actually ever met anyone named McLovin?
No, that's why you picked a dumb fucking name.
Fuck you.
Give me that. All right. You look like a future pedophile in this picture, number one. Number two, it doesn't even have a first name. It just says McLovin.
What? One name? One name? Who are you, Seal?
2007's Superbad, directed by Greg Mottola, who also directed Adventureland, The Day Trippers, Paul, and Confess Fletch, which is a new Fletch movie that just came out. Starring Michael Cera, Jonah Hill, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Emma Stone, Marth Masiak, and Bill Hader, along with Seth Rogen. This movie, to me, is one of my favorites R-rated comedy of all time. When I first saw this movie, it was my last year in college. It was 2007. I remember watching this with my buddy Greg, and we could not stop laughing. We had the bootleg of this. We could not stop laughing. Jonah Hill's timing in this movie is awesome. Christopher Mintz-Plasse's acting is great as McLovin, and Michael Cera does his best at playing the nerdy weird kid. And there's so many great scenes in here when he goes and sings These Eyes. Dude, you're Jimmy's brother, man. My brother
Jimmy,
came all the way
man.
down from Arizona to hear you sing, and he sings These Eyes. It's like one of the worst fucking renditions of These Eyes. But they're all like cheering him. Yeah, they're all cheering him on. Seth Rogen and Bill Hader, Officer Slater, when their whole chemistry there is great. When he says "Don't fuck with the police" and he's dancing at the end of the movie when he's dancing after they break up the party, that part's hilarious. And Jonah Hill, of course, is excellent in the movie with all his comedic timing. Just give me a fucking A. Nobody gives a fuck anymore. Like it's just so many great scenes in this that I can now just thinking about it in my head makes me laugh. Like the McLovin aspect of it. Why are you wearing a vest? You look like Pinocchio. He's like,
go put the vest back in your locker, Aladdin.
Yeah, he's like, you look like Aladdin. He's like, I'm trying to look older. Like, just the whole dynamic is, great between all of them, and definitely one of my favorite comedies of all time. What about you, Swo?
I agree. I went to go see this with my cousin Mark, and I quote it to this day. Like, it's probably. It is the peak iconic R-rated comedy. Like, he's like, do you have any other clothes, or do you only shop at Baby Gap? He's like, what? He's like, I can't wear cargo shorts. No one's got a hand job in cargo shorts since Vietnam, right? Like his liners are fucking hilarious. He gets hit by the car, and he's like, you take him to the party. He's like, you guys on MySpace?
Yeah, I was like, is that your friend? She got a MySpace or something? What are you doing here? You with your fucking friends? Your weird fucking friends? I think you're dick, man. That
I'm sorry, Ethan. I'm sorry that the Coen brothers don't direct the porn that I watch.
Yeah, this movie is great. The part that cracks me up too is when when McLovin goes to buy the alcohol from the store, and he drops that bottle, and like the Mexican guy comes up to him, he's like, "Did you do this?" Yeah, he's like, "Did you do this, sir?" And he's like, "No," and he's like, "Fuck my life." Then when they go to the party, he's the guy that brings all the alcohol. It's like, "Yeah, let's get fucked up."
Well, then when he's checking out at that same scene, he's checking out the beer. He's like, "That's my favorite beer. I've been drinking it for years. I've heard they've recently added more hops to the recipe."
Yeah, to the recipe. And this is where I said the Bruce Campbell tie-in comes in, because the guy who actually punches him is Tim Trella, and he's actually Bruce Campbell's stunt double in Army of Darkness.
I knew you'd find a way to get Bruce Campbell in here. I love it,
dude. This movie sparked a bunch of it was the coattails of this movie since it was popularity, and it blew up at the box office. The popularity of everything with this. Drillbit Taylor used this, directed by produced by the people that created Superbad. They were just the Dewey Cox story, another thing that just used this as a tagline because it was so famous.
It was
and
big.
big.
It was everywhere.
It launched the career of Christopher Mintz-Plasse. He did what he do
Role Models,
which is another great movie that really hard for me not to pick of that one. He also did Kick-Ass.
He did do Kick-Ass, yeah.
And Michael Cera was actually introduced to this role by Jay Baruchel. He actually went to Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen asked him, does anybody know anybody that could play, this character of Evan? And Jay Baruchel said, I got this guy named Michael Cera that would be perfect. And when Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen were casting for this role, they just said they just wanted to find a new best friend. And that's why they cast, Michael Cera. And they're pretty close to it. As you know, it's he's in a lot of their movies too, as little cameos.
Well, also, I've heard, I think we talked about, what do we talk about they hated Jonah Hill making it? Oh, Jay Baruchel.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill hated Christopher Mintz-Plasse on the set of this movie.
Yeah.
He hated him. So his hate towards McLovin was really, really legit, and it was real.
Yes, Nicolas Cage does being a Kick-Ass. He's a big daddy. That's so perfect. They hate each other, and it comes out
it comes out naturally.
I'm gonna rip your fucking face off and put it over mine. First of all, you
don't have the hands or the precision to pull off a procedure like that.
Yeah, just the whole dirtiness of that cracks me up. And this movie was written by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen when they were still in their teenagers.
Yeah.
They wanted to direct it. And this is the movie they wrote, and I think it's kind of cool coming around that they made it big to where they can direct what kind of movie they want, and they made a fucking masterpiece.
I also think Seth Rogen's dad is in it when they're like running from the cops and they cut through the backyard.
Yeah, he's the guy with the bat.
He's the guy with the bat that comes out in his underwear and he chases them.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and to tie it into Batman's, well, Michael Cera, Emma Stone, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, and Jonah Hill all had something to do with superheroes. Emma Stone was Spider-Man's girlfriend. Hill is the voice of Green Lantern in the Lego movies. Christopher Mintz-Plasse is the enemy Red Mist, as I said, in Kick-Ass. And Michael Cera is the voice of Robin in the Lego Batman movie.
He's also in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh my God, I love that movie. I have, dude, that's like that is one of my, if we ever talk about underrated movies, that has to be one of my favorite like movies of all time.
I fucking love Scott
The
Pilgrim versus the
soundtrack
World.
is awesome. I actually have it on vinyl. That's how much I love that movie.
I love that movie.
I saw that movie, and the first time I saw that movie was in when I worked at the jail.
I saw that movie on a double feature. I snuck in. I paid to go see The Town, and then I snuck in to see Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Definitely a great movie. You haven't seen that one, but Superbad. There's not really, we could go on and on about it. I don't want to drag on because it'll just be us rambling about it. But it's such a great movie.
It's the perfect R-rated comedy, and I absolutely love it.
And I know we mentioned that when we did the 80s movies and then we did some of the 90s movies, that we always want to end like those teen movies at the peak with Superbad. That was like our pinnacle of those movies.
It really is. We're both in 100% agreement on that.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, I definitely will recommend checking it out. So Swole, we went through 10 movies, 5 each from us. Are there any movies that we left off that you can be an honorable mention?
Yeah, I think we've mentioned a couple of them. I think Role Models can be an honorable mention. I think This Is the End is another honorable mention. That movie's hilarious. I think Knocked Up kind of kicked off a lot of these R-rated comedies. Once again, Apatow. Also, we touched upon it in our Adam Sandler episode, but Adam Sandler did a movie called That's My Boy.
Yeah.
Which was his only R-rated comedy, and it's fucked up and it's hilarious. I think that's probably it for me. What about you?
So I have 2 movies. One of them being an Apatow movie, which is Funny People, and that is with Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen. And Leslie Mann. To me, it's funny. It's a different aspect of Sandler playing a comedian that's dying of cancer, and he basically hires Seth Rogen to write jokes for him.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of great comedic timing in there. Eric Bana's in there. Also some it pulls on your heartstrings a little bit. I like that movie a lot. It's an art-rated comedy. It's the reason I didn't pick it was because it's a little more sentimental than it is more comedy.
It's like a dramedy. Yeah, I agree with that.
And then my second one is my second favorite Jason Segel movie, and that is I Love You, Man.
Oh, that's so good.
Paul Rudd, I think Paul Rudd is so great in buddy comedies. Like he got his big break, I think, in Clueless, and then he kind of messed around with he was horrible in the Halloween movie.
No, I know him from Halloween, Curse of Michael Myers.
Yeah, but he was in Clueless.
He was.
But then he started getting in the comedy movies when he was at The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and then it went to Knocked Up. He was in there with Leslie Mann. Then he actually did
This Is 40.
This Is 40, which is another great movie, another R-rated classic that builds upon the Apatow universe.
Melissa McCarthy. I have really high nipples.
If you two don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna jackhammer your ass. I'm gonna drag my legs out and kick the shit out of you. That movie's great. Zombieland's another one. Road Trip, Clerks,
Euro Trip.
Euro Trip. Those are all great. Slackers.
Oh yeah.
Another movie that definitely cannot be made. Another Jason Segel a movie that cannot be made.
And The Goat. I'm surprised I didn't put it on this list. Honestly, I'm a little mad at myself now that I think about it. Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused, another one too. But see, Dazed and Confused, I think it has comedy, but it's a dramedy. It's more, that now. But yeah, those are movies that we couldn't really, it's just a big list. Could have been too long. We didn't want to do a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, any of these movies could have been on that list.
But if you guys have movies that we have not picked, I know here, Cool Ethan, man. Cool Ethan, his Jason Schwartzman's whole role in that movie. There's actually a video on YouTube of Cool Ethan's highlights, and it's done to I'm a Loser Baby by Beck.
Nice.
And it's hilarious. I know
was Saving Silverman rated R?
I don't know, because I didn't
because that movie's fucking hilarious. And if there's an R-rated version of it, like that should be on this list too, as a underappreciated.
Yeah, Saving Silver was PG-13.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another funny movie, but that's not
so
R-rated.
funny.
But yeah, the movies that we mentioned, you know, the hair. I still can't get over the hair down Slackers, but yeah, definitely Slackers is another one. And a lot, like I said, a lot of these movies cannot be made today.
There's no way in hell.
So it'll be interesting if we're just doing this 10 years down the road, and we look back at what the movies are made then, comparing them to what we saw. How different would it be? That'd be something nice to do. So if whoever's out there, if we fall off, make sure you guys do an episode like that. But that's our list. If you guys have a list, let us know at Yumper and Svo on Twitter. Again, if it's still working, or hit us up on Facebook at Sadistic Penguin Studios or at sadisticpenguinstudios.com, our website. The do-over with I've never seen that, Sam. I heard bad things about that.
I can't tell if Sam is serious or not. Like, I really like Sam, but like I can't tell if he's serious or not right now. That's the problem with his humor. I can't tell when he's fucking with me.
It's king ass.
It is king ass. I'm still waiting for a Yumper and Svo invite on the ass podcast.
I'm going on Thursday with.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm going on with the ass cast on Thursday, but I'll announce all that stuff on after. So yeah, so first.
Thanks, Sam.
Let's get into our new segment that Mr. Swoboda thought of, news and rumors. So Mr. Swoboda, take it away.
Oh, look at that little graphic. That's nice, Yump. I didn't know that you did that. So this new segment, we just want to talk about stuff that we're hearing in the movie industry, and anything that you want to talk about. So tweet us like news and rumors that you might want us to talk about on our next episode when we come back, and we'll go over it. So the first thing I got, Yump, is there's a lot of Deadpool 3 rumors coming out right now. And I don't know how you feel about Deadpool, but the rumor is that Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner have been spotted on set to reprise their role as Daredevil and Elektra. Is it too much? And second part, is there a comic book movie character that you'd like to see come back in a future installment of a comic book movie?
So, Sam, we're going to address this comment in a little bit. First of all, I don't think it's for Deadpool. I don't think it's too much because Deadpool is supposed to be silly.
Yes.
Ryan Reynolds threw that out there when he did the whole mixing of the X-Men universe. He's been pining and pulling and campaigning for Hugh Jackman to come back as Wolverine. He's been wanting to do a movie with him. They did the horrible, addition of or appearance of Deadpool and
X-Men Origins.
Yeah, and Wolverine Origins.
Wolverine Origins, yeah.
Which was not really a good showing of, he had a small cameo, I would say, in there. And the big first part when he talked was great. The ending was horrible with him in it. He wanted to reprise that character, and I think he found his niche when he did Deadpool.
He loves this character,
and he's very protective over. He does great dialogue with it, and I think adding them and they're just going to make it funny for comedic timing because he kind of makes fun of the superhero universes. That's what the character of Deadpool is. It breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah,
and makes fun of things coming trends. And right now, the common trend we talked about is the multiverse. And hopefully they make fun of it with those characters coming back. So I have no issue with it for this particular movie.
For this particular movie, I'm okay with it. Now, in terms of like The Flash, it's a different story, but no, I'm okay with it. Also, I hear that Deadpool 3 is a road trip comedy with Logan and Wolverine and Deadpool on a road trip. That sounds fantastic.
Definitely. And I think it's going to I'm really maybe we should do that as like a Penguin event, or me and you and the other guys go out.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Go to it like.
So the other part of that question, is there a former comic book character that you'd like to see come back in another movie from that series?
So from any comic book series or just that particular series?
Any comic book series. Is there someone that you'd like to see come back?
Okay, so I have two if it's from any series. The first being the Punisher from Jon Bernthal.
Okay.
I think it only went 2 seasons on the Marvel series. And fans have been pining for him to come back again.
Yeah.
With the new Daredevil coming out, he's actually going to be in it. They announced that he's actually going to be in it as the Punisher, which I think is going to be great. I don't want it to be a movie. I want it to be a series because I think the Punisher is best told in segments as a series. I think a movie will be too much information crammed into a 2-hour film. If they bring him back as a series, I would totally love that.
Okay.
My second one is something that's not really known in terms of public eye. It's known in terms of the video game world, but it's not really known in movies and whatnot. And that's the character of Jackie Estacado. It's from a book called a graphic novel called The Darkness, about a mobster on his 21st birthday has this lineage of this evil presence in their life, and it takes control of their family, of a certain family member when they turn 21, usually male. And it's about him controlling this demon in him as he fights off his uncle who's trying to kill him. The video game was great. It was actually done with Kirk Acevedo as Jackie Estacado. Perfectly done. They made a sequel that was great. It left on a cliffhanger, and then the actual studio lost money. Now, there was rumors coming out that there was going to be a motion picture starring this movie with Kurt Acevedo reprising his role as Jackie. I don't know if he can do it now because Kurt's a little older, but I would love them to do maybe either an animation video of it, or something dark like the Spawn series they did on HBO, because that would really make me happy. I know a lot of fans are pining for it. They still write to NetherRealm and 2K to try to get the process starting up of getting a new game out, but it's in like development hell right now. Those are my two biggest ones I would love to see.
Okay. I'm gonna throw a name out there, and I don't want this to happen in a multiverse. But I would love to see Danny DeVito back as the best penguin that's ever existed in a movie.
And he has said he's the best penguin.
He is. Like, the penguin in the Batman was really, really good. But it was more of a mobster. Like, I want the Danny DeVito penguin back. I would love to see that in another movie. That's the only one I have. So now I got one more for you. Did you have anything on this segment too, Yump?
No, we can.
Okay. So the final question is they are deep into production on the sequel to Gladiator, the Russell Crowe movie, not the 1994 James Marshall Cuba Gooding Jr. movie.
Classic.
It is a classic. It's iconic with my favorite actor Dennehy in it. Will the Gladiator sequel be worth it without Russell Crowe? How do you feel about a Gladiator sequel? That's what I want to hear.
So I think this is like, we just talked about this with Coming to America too. Hollywood is basically something that's been in development hell since Gladiator was released. And I think that was like 99.
Yeah.
Like this is something that's been developed. There's supposed to be a sequel to Gladiator with Russell Crowe in it, which I don't know how that would have been happening unless it was a prequel. But they're continuing to make movies that I don't have good thoughts about. I don't think it's going to be a very good movie. It reminds me of like 300. 300 came out, then they made a sequel and it wasn't as good as the original. What
was it? 300 Rise of
Rise of Spartans or something like that.
It was kind of cheeks.
Yeah, I think this is what's going to happen to this movie. And too much time has passed. It's not like you're having, like, if it was like Sam said, Indiana Jones is coming back, but it's still the iconic, film actor playing the character. Like,
right. Russell Crowe is like, yeah.
And if you look at Russell Crowe now, like, he would have to do some serious, like, in shape. He's very, very out of shape to play Maximus.
Yeah.
I just think, just let the movie stand alone on its own. It won an Oscar for him. And just don't mess it up. Like, but I don't know. What do you think?
I love the 1999 Gladiator, not the 1994 version with James Marshall and Cuba Gooding Jr. No, I love the 99 Gladiator. I think it's an iconic movie. I love the scene in The Sopranos when he quotes the Gladiator and he talks about it, when Ralphie talks about it. I don't need a sequel to it. I think it's a movie that's best a one-off and done. And I know what you're trying to do. I just don't appreciate it. So no, I don't think a Gladiator sequel is going to work.
I definitely, like I said, I think you're just
like,
come up with new material.
When they see the trailer, is it something that you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go to the movies to see that, because like, I go see everything. I don't know if I'll go see a Gladiator sequel.
I probably won't. Usually, like, you're my tests, my test subject. You tell me how it is, and I'll go see it. Unless it's something I'm really looking forward to. That I would not definitely look forward to. And like Sam saying, Russell Crowe fighting around the world, like, that's fine. If it's a prequel, that's great. But like, also, Russell Crowe's older, and if they want to do the de-aging technology, I don't think it looks that well. I mean,
no,
The Irishman gives proof of that, even though it was a good movie. I also like, it's just you waited too long to have it come out.
Too long. It's been 25 years.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Ghostbusters 3 that was supposed to come out after Ghostbusters 2, and it eventually became Ghostbusters Afterlife because Dan Aykroyd realized, Harold Ramis is gone. Let's just rewrite this script. And I think they have to do that. But with him dying, in the Kumite, if he's in the Kumite, then shit, yeah, I'll watch that. If John Cloud coming back, then yeah.
I'll watch it.
John Cloud has to beat him though. But yeah, I think it's just Hollywood just trying to, money grab. And right now, since
What if there's a
cinema is not doing well,
multiverse? What if it's a multiverse Gladiator
that's fucking stupid.
and Russell Crowe has to eat endless shrimp at Red Lobster?
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I watch that. And there's nothing like I don't hate Russell Crowe. I think he's a great actor. I just don't like. I think you're milking it for money grabs right now.
I think so too. Like this is not something that I'm gonna go see.
So that's funny. I will bring up a subject for this. So with the recent bombings of the Flash, Indiana Jones hasn't made a lot of money that they thought it was.
No, but they say Indy's got legs, right? They say Indy might keep making money for like the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. But they're saying the Flash has pulled DC and Warner Brothers pulled it from thousands of theaters already.
It's gone, yeah.
So they're saying that the age of cinema is dying, and that's like, to me personally, it's a blessing and a curse. I do like to see movies at my house. It's easier for me around my work schedule, around podcasting, around everything I do between Sox games, my family. It's better for me time management to sit down anytime I want with the wife and watch the movie. But I also like going to the theater. I know you're a big proponent of going to the theater. Would you agree that the age of our cinema of going to the movies is like those blockbusters, those $1 billion movie making box offices are pretty much like going to be gone?
So I'm not going to say that they're gone, but I think audiences now are smarter than they've ever been, and they're not going to just go watch shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Flash movie, we talked about it. It was kind of shit. Like there were some elements of it that were really, really good, but it was also kind of shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like Hollywood needs some original ideas. I'm very, very excited to go see, we talked about this on News and Rumors last week. I'm going to go do the Barbenheimer double feature, right? I'm going to go see Oppenheimer, and then I'm going to go see Barbie with my wife on a day in San Francisco when we don't have anything else to do. I think Nicole Kidman wants you to go to the theater.
Kelly.
Yeah, my wife's in Seattle right now watching from the other side of the country. So, I don't think the movie theaters are dead. I think when, I've gone, every week for the past, 6 weeks, and theaters are packed. I went to a Thursday night showing of Joyride. People just want good fucking movies, not just the same retread over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm indifferent on it. I'm still torn to see, like I know Guardians made good money, but Guardians made $800 million, and usually those movies would make in the billions.
Well, Super Mario Brothers made $1 billion. I think
that's why I think those movies are like diamonds in the rough. Like
and they might be, and there are some movies where like if I didn't have a subscription service to go to AMC, that I would be like, I'm gonna wait till that comes out and I'll rent it on iTunes. But there's some movies that I have to see in the theater. Like, man, I know we disagreed on Scream 6, but Scream 6 was packed the night I went into the theater, and it made good money in there, and people enjoyed seeing that thing in the theater.
Yeah, it was packed and I went as well.
It's just like people don't want to see shit anymore. Audiences aren't dumb. People are dumb, but audiences want to see new shit.
Yeah, it's just we have to just see what's going to happen. It's just we're in a strange time. Streaming services are big now. Movies are being released on stream now.
Yeah. Well, and they come out, and then 2 weeks later, they're on Peacock, or they're on Apple TV, or they're on whatever. Like,
yeah, the new streaming services are basically the direct-to-video.
Yeah.
It makes me think about the new Mortal Kombat that's probably going to come out in next year. Are they going to release it as a day one on HBO Max? Or
wasn't it day one HBO Max when it came out here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look in and I check the iTunes store every day, like The Blackening, that was a comedy that just came out a couple weeks ago, is already out for you to rent. Like, you can rent it on iTunes right now for $20. Insidious, The Last Key, the Red Door is available to pre-order. All this stuff is available to pre-order. Now, there are certain movies that I think you should probably just send right to theater. Like, what was this Teenage Kraken movie that just came out? Like, it's a kids movie, man. Send it right to Disney Plus or send it right to whatever. But I don't know. It makes me sad when things like that are actually like a conversation. But no, I think you're right. The $1 billion movies might be a diamond in the rough, but I don't think the movie theaters are going anywhere.
Yeah, hopefully not, because they're good experiences. And there's something that I want to take, my kid to have experience.
Yeah.
The drive-in was something like Brian said, Barbara Heimer, the drive-in. To be honest with you, I didn't want to go see Barbara. I don't want to see Barbie. But if Barbara Heimer was playing at a drive-in that was still open, I would definitely be down to that, because that experience is fucking
Yumper,
great.
I got news for you, because it is in McHenry, and you should go with Brian.
It's McHenry.
Who cares, man? Like, go meet up at Brian's house, pack a cooler, and go to a double feature with all 4 of you guys.
All right, Brian, if you do that, you gotta drive though.
Look at that, Brian. I got you.
I only see bad movies in theaters. Yeah, I've seen a lot of them too, Sam. But that is our news and rumors. So if you guys have any news and rumors that come out, tweet at us. We'll definitely be going back and forth with you on Twitter or any of our social medias that you can connect to us with. Also, leave a comment on the YouTube for anything that comes on. I check those daily. So that's our new segment. If you guys still like this, let us know. Hit us up and give us a little feedback on it. But with that, we're going to go into our coming soon. And Swole kind of hinted about this, which we're going to be doing a little, switch it up. This is the end of our second season. We're going to start our third season, which I thought is crazy that we did 3 seasons already. 2 seasons going into our third. We're going to switch up a little variety of the Yumper and Swole, and we're going to start talking about some TV shows or series that we like. So we're going to give our 5 favorite series a piece in our next episode. So what do you think about that, Swole?
I'm very excited for that. I think that we're going to pick 5, and then we're all going to talk about one series in particular at the very end.
You're tearing me apart, Brian.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Tommy Wiseau. He actually took a couple pictures to Joker, so I should send that to you.
Do you know that The Room is available to pre-order now for the first time ever?
Yes.
You never have been able to own it except if you ordered it right from Tommy Wiseau's website. But now it is available to pre-order, and I think I'm going to buy it.
So I will buy that movie. I won't watch it. I'll just buy it to have it. I don't know if that makes sense, but the movie's really bad. Tommy Wiseau is hilarious. I don't know if he's serious or not. He seems like he's a man who's on a lot of drugs.
He definitely is. Yep, I'm looking through the pre-order list on iTunes right now, and I shit you not, there's a couple pre-orders on here. One is, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Right. That reminds me. Shout out to Windy City Rebel, Southside Bum Johnny. He told me when I went to go to the game this weekend, Less Than Zero is on Amazon Prime for free.
Fantastic.
So if you have not seen Less Than Zero with Robert Downey Jr., check that movie out.
That's fantastic. But on this list of pre-order movies, there's 2 on here. One is the Emilio Estevez classic 1993 movie Judgment Night.
Great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack. And the other is the Cuba Gooding Jr. James Marshall classic Gladiator.
I have that movie on DVD.
I own it. I own it digitally.
Yeah, Brian, I know you love that movie. I love that movie.
I love that movie too.
It's awesome. But yeah, that's going to be our coming soon. So like I said, we're going to be taking 3 weeks off while Swole does his trip. He'll be catching up with us on the Sadistic Penguin Studios, dropping some vlogs. I also have some stuff in the works that's going to be coming out, mini little Yumper stuff, maybe some movie reviews. The martial arts classics will be coming back this week. I'll be releasing it probably before the week's over.
Yes.
Also, we're gonna have some little stuff, side projects I've been working on. Swole and Shankster will be on It's Getting Drafty this week on Tuesday. Me, Brian, and Bruhan Luke and Roxy, and I believe Jackie will be joining us to do the home run derby tomorrow. Swole, if you're available, hop on. We'll be watching the home run derby on Playback tomorrow.
Playback is fun with Brian, man. He hosts it really, really well.
Yeah. So we have some good blogs coming out soon from some new writers that we have. A lot of good stuff is cooking. And now that school's done, I have more time to dedicate towards our content pushing out. So look forward to doing that. So that's our coming soon. But before I get to Swole's final thought, thank you guys for watching. This was a short one for us. It's horrible.
It is horrible.
I'm also on the Asscast this Thursday with the Ass Crew. Good people.
That's nice.
Thank you guys for watching. Shut up, Swole. Thank you guys for watching. We do this for fun, and we always enjoy having everybody here. Reminder: this Saturday is the Yumper and Swole movie event. For those who have been RSVP, you've already been messaged in the Twitter group. If you have not been contacted, please contact me at my Twitter handle or text me or email me.
We have 2 spots left.
2 spots left because
There's 2 spots. There's some things that came up. So if you missed out and you want to go, just hit the DMs and we'll make sure we put you on the list.
Yeah, so it'll be Saturday and the show's at 3:30. We'll give you the address and everything where it's at. Everything is free in terms of don't make eye contact with Soup Kid. He'll teach you alive. I saw him. I met him on Saturday. Nice guy. Everything is free in terms of the movie. You get to watch a free movie. The theaters rent it out. It's just going to be us. All you have to do is pay for your food and drink. So we look forward to seeing everybody Saturday. And with that, Swole, let's get into your final thought, my man.
Guys, I don't have a lot tonight. I love everybody that watches, even Sam Reeves. My wife's not coming, so if anyone wants to make out on Saturday, Brian. My wife is also not going to be there, so you can sit next to me. But I'm very, very excited for Saturday. I'm very, very excited for all the things that we have coming up. We have fun while we're doing this stuff. And we appreciate you guys all. Deuces.
Deuces.